Okay, quick run through the course. This is what I can do at this particular site with 36 cones, which is basically what I can carry in one bag. Starting position is 140 pull out to the left against a 14-foot obstacle. I try and set that first cone so I can't cheat by setting my wheel outside the cone line, or in between them or something, for even a moment. Most of the time I start to drill mounted with the engine running, in gear, kickstand up, ready to launch. Sometimes I'll start with the bike off, keys in my belt, dismounted, finish up parked properly and dismounted, just to include some other things to work on the drill. So after the pullout, it's a long way across to the next cone pattern. So I've inserted some turns that force me to bring the bike back and forth in a short space. It'd be nice to have more cones for that, but as long as you work the marks in the ground like there are really cones there, keep your engine guards off them, don't hit them with your bags, you're going to get a training benefit. First turning point is the tip of that painted line by my front tire. And then, still accelerating slightly, I need to come back left across that parking lane and stay left of where those paint lines intersect while remaining in that next lane. The next part of the pattern is a 180 degree reversal in a 14.5 foot radius turn through a lane that's 4.5 feet wide. This is about picking a good path while you're leaned over. Prior to going into the eliminator, I have to execute a full stop at a set mark on the ground. I want to make sure I'm looking through my turn as I approach the stop, not down at the ground at the stop, but through the turn where I'm headed up into the eliminator. And I want to make sure I complete a shoulder check before I start to move, right? Good habit from the road. Now, to make sure the shoulder check is real, I actually look at the person working the drive-through window at Burger King behind me. And my rule is, if they're reaching through the window, I take a pause. If they're not, I go. So that's just a silly little rule to ensure that I make the shoulder check real and reinforce that I see what I look at, so it doesn't just become pro forma. Good habit for the road. So into the eliminator, I want to make sure I've got good lane position. I want to make sure I've got the proper entry speed and good wheel placement as I teardrop the turn. Okay, look, lean and roll on some throttle and clutch to maintain balance, and then on to the next turn. Okay, this gets repeated for all four lanes. Sometimes I'll set it up so I do a full 360 at the end of each lane instead of just a 180. For now, just worry about getting a 180 while you get started. So exiting this drill, there's a bit of a speed run out of frame to the left to a light pole that I round and then come back. But right here, I need to make sure I get the bike vertical as quickly as possible before applying much throttle so I don't slide the rear end out. That's real easy to do in the rain or even just on a damp surface. So you always want to be careful to check your acceleration when you're coming out of a position of being not even just severely leaned over, just even partly leaned over. When I get back in frame, I do a full stop here with my foot on the line. This places the motor exactly where I want it for this particular drill. Another shoulder check to my left. This time I'm checking out the door over at Texas Roadhouse. The rule is if anybody's out by the doors, I take a pause. If not, I go. And, again, just making the shoulder check real by having what you do next hinge on whether you see something or not. When I go, I execute a 90-degree pull-out to the right against those two cones. Now, there's two ways to do a right 90 pull-out off either your left or right foot. And I actually practice both so that I can easily integrate with, whatever the preference is for whatever group I get to work with. Looks like I'm doing it off my right foot here. After I pull out, I approach the end of that painted line and do a complete stop, feet up. Sometimes I'll put my coffee cup there and ride up to it, and then alternate falling to the left or right to get around it, kind of a bump and go. From there, there's a couple of simple little maneuvers out of frame to the left, and then it's back to the curb. Okay, so that's the pattern and some of the considerations. So here's what it looks like with motion. Okay, so this is one of two patterns that I run at this spot, and you can get a lot out of a single pattern by working it in different ways. Sometimes I'll hit this one with a total focus on being smooth, with an emphasis on building that procedural memory, just doing it right every single repetition. When I'm working on smooth, I'm shooting for things like perfect lane positioning, perfect wheel placement at the inflection points, working the throttle with the least amount of drama. You're getting as much of the turn done as early as possible, to make it look effortless and polished, rather than having to make some big heroic recovery, at the end as I run out of room, while I watch my shadow and imagine how cool it looks to anybody that's watching me. Making sure I'm looking where I need to be looking and seeing what's there every single time. So it's basically, getting all the little individual elements that comprise the total run down. Now on other days, I'll run this as a timed course where I'll go as fast as I can while still executing within an envelope of 100% control and correct form. And when I'm in that mode, any screw up on my part, touch a cone, overdo it, make a mental error, I'm the referee, I make the call. I'll finish the pattern, but the time on the run is dead. I'm clearly not hustling here, and I'm taking about a minute 10 or so to do the whole thing, which would be a decent time for a damp surface or doing it in light rain, which I've done. When I'm moving and it's dry, typical times will be around 47 seconds. Best time I think is around 43. But here, the cones are set pretty wide, and so it shouldn't be that tough to get near that with a little bit of hustle.